Hi guys, Alex Peak Performance Reviews. Welcome to a live video, not a vlog as such. It is a video, a live video. Just before I come on air, I'm really sorry and I must apologise. I'm probably minutely late. I had an ouchie just before I came on air. Basically, I've been working on the Supra a little bit more today. And yeah, I've got a few things that I've still got to do to the car, taking it on a bit further forward. But anyway, without further ado, I know there's not many people watching. To be fair, I don't expect there to be that many people watching on a Saturday at 12 o'clock, unless you've got a kind of a day where you're just staying at home and just chilling. I don't expect many people to be watching us live. If you are and you want to comment, please by all means comment. I may not be able to reply back to you until after the video, because I'm going to try and keep this relatively short and just talk about what's happened. So when you do watch this re-live, you'll hear all of what I've had to share today on here. Links in the bio to anything I mention, but let me flip this out around first and foremost and get it on the Supra. So let me get in shot and let me know obviously if you can hear me well. I'm going to bend down so you can see me a bit better and keep the Supra in the background. Yeah, like I say, I'm going to briefly flitter in between going to the camera and talking. Like I say, I'm not going to make this too long because it can be boring, and obviously when people watch it real life they just want to skip, and I may be able to make chapters on this so you can kind of skip to the bit that you want. But to be fair, it's worth listening, so hold on tight and listen to what I've got to say. I'm just going to check the camera again. Okay, it looks like we've got at least 3 people in. Okay. Yeah, like I say, before I came on camera, I was a little bit late and I've had a bit of an ouchie. Been doing more stuff to the Supra. Right, so today's video is going to be a reveal of how much brake horsepower this is made. I've kept it really secretive actually for, I think it is a week. It's not much more than a week. The reason being is I wanted to release a video already. I haven't been able to, and there's a reason why. I didn't know how to reveal the power. I know you're probably just saying, just get on with it, Alex. So, obviously, with coronavirus happening, with other things in the world happening, Remain at Race Cow basically now works pretty much on his own. So he had the car on the dyno and he wasn't able to get video unless he's set up a stand. But at the end of the day, the guy's a tuner, so I can't expect him to do loads of videos. I couldn't go to the dyno. If people don't know, I work 2 jobs, and my other alternative job, I've got no extra days left, so I couldn't even be at the dyno. And to be fair, I was away on holiday when the dyno happened, and I never would have been able to change that, and I was miles away from there. So it meant that I couldn't be there on the day, which was really nerve-wracking when I was on holiday hearing the results. And it also means that we got no video because no one else could video it, which was a big shame. However, at a later date, very soon, I am going to get this chucked on the dyno for your purposes to kind of show you the different maps and kind of different power figures on a nice dyno kind of video. But I'm going to reveal it. I'm not going to go on any longer. I'm going to start with what happened. So everything's all good. Car's back here. It's sound, motor feel sound and everything like that. There's some really good stuff and there's some slight negative stuff to the video, but nothing major. Let's start with the lowest boost settings. So the lowest boost settings, which is basically wastegate pressure, crack pressure, which is basically the lowest the springs on the wastegates can go, and you can hold boost at that level. The lowest boost pressure we can run is 1.6 bar on the springs, and my low boost pressure power output is, it's 823 brake horsepower. So low boost is 823 horsepower, so that's the lowest figure I can run on the road. I will be able to probably run lower because I can have throttle maps where I can hold the throttle opening. Now it's drive-by-wire intake planner. So I've got a 90mm race kind of Porsche drive-by-wire throttle, so electric throttle. We can kind of lower power, kind of opening increments, so you can limit the power that way. So we could have probably maybe an alternative lower boost, even lower boost setting maybe, like 750, 700, but we're going to dial that in at another day. But at the moment, the lowest boost pressure can run is 823 horsepower. But we pushed it further on pump fuel. So we pushed it up to 1.9 bar on Shell V power pump fuel. And it made, again, drum roll, it made 953 brake horsepower on pump fuel at 1.9 bar. So that is basically about 800 wheel horsepower. For Americans and people that do want to know the wheel horsepower figures, converted to flywheel horsepower, that's 953 horsepower calculated. So yeah, it absolutely mental, near 1,000 horsepower on pump fuel, which is ridiculous. I haven't had a chance to do too much runs on the car, but I'll explain why as well. That wasn't the end figure, just to let you know. So if anyone has been following us, they'll know that we also run a race fuel. Pump maps are always limited, and you can't get insane power out of pump maps because you start to get knocked as soon as you up the boost pressure, unless you have a dustbin sized turbo, which that ain't far off. You won't get bigger figures than that really on pump fuel. It's hard. Knock starts being introduced. The technical bots who listen may understand what that means, but if you, I won't explain that because obviously it will just be too long to explain. But yeah, we pushed it further still. So we decided to do our race fuel maps. We use Renegade K16 race fuel, which is like 120 octane race fuel. Allows us to be more aggressive with the ignition and then run a little bit more boost safely. We basically only got it to 2.1 bar, which is not a bad thing. So 2.1 bar, and it basically can run a lot more boost pressure than that. So 2.1 bar on race fuel, we made 1,059 horsepower, which is around 900 wheel horsepower. So 1,059 flywheel horsepower at 2.1 bar on race fuel. To put into perspective, these turbos really are more efficient and do like even more boost pressure than that. They can run at 2.5 to 2.7, 2.8, 2.9 bar. Most people kind of tend to go about 2.7, and then they start to really not want to make much more power. You can make a tiny bit more, but you're really pushing the boundaries of the turbo. So we will increase it to 2.7 bar, but we did basically have a not issues as such, but things that were restrictive. So we got to 2.1 bar. Again, to put into perspective, at 2.7 bar, the way we have calculated things, it should make about another 140 wheel horsepower. So it should be over 1,000 wheel horsepower, or at least around 1,000 wheel horsepower, which is basically circa 1,250 flywheel horsepower. So once we can push it a bit further on that pump fuel, on that race fuel, we should be able to make 1,200 plus and 1,000 wheel horsepower plus. But at the moment we're 900 wheel horsepower and 1,059 at only 2.1 bar on race fuel. The reason why we couldn't turn it up is there's two things. We had an issue with a catch can, a little bit of oil carryover is happening. We've tested everything on the motor, and the motor is absolutely sound and running beautiful, and it's it is superb. We have a really weird kind of thing that happens when you have huge race kind of rocker covers. They're really clever and really good at vacating crankcase pressure. A lot of people forget about it, or they run very cheap covers that are actually quite restrictive. But because they're quite restrictive and they have really good baffle system on them, they tend to not carry over oil that's basically splashing on top of the cams. Because this is vacating crank pressure really, really well, and these race covers, which are really expensive, it tends to push out a lot of oil. Not crazy amounts, but a little bit of oil, and it basically ends up coming out of the catch can's breather. To the extent that when we first had it was down here. I am relocating. I'll explain on other videos and on Insta. I've bought a different system, a much bigger catch can, and I'm going to have to adapt that even further. Because that catch can system on this type of rocker cover doesn't work well. Like I say, they vacate crankcase ventilation better than anything. They're more for race cars and kind of drag cars. But this isn't good. Is going to be used on the road, and it's going to be used for long periods of time at high power. So like half mile, where you're on the throttle for 15 seconds non-stop at high boost pressures and at high power. So what we're having to do is we're having to make a really clever crankcase ventilation system that you find on really high-end race cars. So what happens is we will have a really large, ultra large -16 feed that runs into like almost like another aluminium can that doesn't have a vent on it, and then it goes from the block just above the oil pan, and it goes into this like a breather pot, which is a big can, another can, almost like another catch can, but that has no ventilation. It then bleeds from that. That catches the splash lubricated oil that tries to find its way up to the head and past everything and then into the catch can. But it will get almost collected into that. Then it will back feed or feed into another port that then goes up to your conventional catch can, which we need to add a third port to. And then basically the top can that then vents, which has got a big can and vent on it, that will then vent, and it will vent and have no oil collection in the top, which means you then don't have any oil mist or any dangerous oil that can, you know, fall in the engine bay or even on the tyres and things like that. So that's what we're going to have to do. I've ordered all the parts I need to do that. And another restriction actually on 2.1 bar was Romain is very, very clever. Romain at Race Cow, he does all my cars. At 2.1 bar, the 4-inch intercooler was starting to get a little bit hot. So he was mimicking and simulating kind of half-mile runs. So really, you know, boosting the car up and loading it for 15 seconds non-stop, which he'd have to do because he'd need to understand how the car is going to behave potentially when he's tuning it in mind of what he knows I'm going to do with this car. So it starts to get a little hot, not insanely hot, but hot enough to go, that is the limit, and that's the power we can run on that setup. So he's just advised me, my race kind of tuner, Romain at Race Cows, just advised me that I need to go for an even bigger intercooler. So a 5-inch core or a 6-inch core. 5-inch core is good for 13 to 1500 horsepower. So with this iteration of what I'm doing with the car, I have just basically ordered a 5-inch intercooler. I've got one already. I'm going to stick that on, not today, haven't got time. I'm literally going to go hot foot it to Snetterton and Mo to watch a friend race in Janettas. But yeah, basically 5-inch intercooler will allow us to run 2.7 bar. The catch can system that we're going to run will allow us to run 2.7 bar. So in the next coming weeks, we're going to do some data logging on the road, drive the car a lot more, take it out again to Romain and get some remote mapping done. And he's going to up the pressure to 2.7 bar. So we should be, hopefully all going well, the way things are looking, be up at the level of 1200 horsepower plus. One of the other things I wanted to say, which I'm amazed by and is awesome, and it's just good to see, because you don't know how a car's going to react to the brand new, insane, you know, bottom to top build you're going to do on a car like this, like I have. Spent a lot of money on it, and you never know what's going to happen. You don't know whether it's going to be really good, you don't know whether it's going to be really bad, you don't know whether the map's going to look really nice. But basically what I wanted to say is, on this turbo, this car seems to make more power at low down RPM when just as it's starting to spool and it's making its good power, lower than any other Supra I've seen with this turbo setup on it, even 3.4 litre stroker motors, which I'm not necessarily a fan of as much, because I like, there's loads of things, there's another conversation. Don't dislike them, they have positives, but I like a flat, I like a straight six with a 3 litre motor with equal stroke and bore for reliability. And again, that's why if I'm going to push this a lot more further, this platform and the way I've done it is the right way. But yeah, the power band, it comes on about 500 RPM than any other car that I've seen with this turbo, and it continues to rise, and normally they die off at about 7,000 RPM, and we just continue to make really good power, and it tails off just a little bit, but really makes continual power all the way up to Redline, which is now 8,300. We can push it to 9,000, but I want to be kind to the stock 6-speed transmission on it, because the stock 6-speed transmission is crazy money now on these, and I want to retain it being a 6-speed manual car. I just like manual cars for this kind of car. I know I'm throwing away time by not using one of these crazy bang boxes, but I want to stay 6-speed manual. I want to stay true to this car, so that's the way we're going with the car. Lots more plans still nonetheless with the car, but yes, another kind of thing I want to tell you guys, if you haven't seen on my Insta, we are going to be racing this car at an event called 10 of the Best and Race Wars Race Wars is run by JM Imports. There's going to be some crazy, horsepower GTRs with, owners that have got a lot of money, like, £250,000, £500,000 builds. We're not going after them. We don't need to, but then to be fair, this will still be up there with some of the absolute best. But we're not going after the 2,000 horsepower cars, but definitely there's some big cars that will be going there, including, I think, an incredible, really quick 1100 plus horsepower McLaren 720S, which is cleaning up rear wheel drive stuff at the moment in the UK, full stop, for these roll racing type events. So we're going to try, we'll see, we don't know really, if we can push it up to 2.7 bar on this turbo and this setup. We'll see what we can do, and we can see if we should hopefully be able to push and get somewhere thereabouts, and be mixing it up with that guy and then beating lots of people hopefully. So that's the plan. I'm going to go there. Got some big drag radials to put on it, so yeah, we're going to be testing on the day. Romain's going to be there, dialing in the car and increasing things and checking things at the same time, because he's got a lot of cars that will be there that he looks after as well, so we're going to all have a lot of kind of data being sorted on the day. So yeah, let me just flip this around for you. See if there's any comments. Okay, no, it's all good. Thumbs up, but yeah, let me get back in the shot. So yeah, it is pretty much it really, to be honest with you. I don't want to carry this on too much longer. If you've got any questions, obviously hit us up in the comment section, and I'll be sure to answer you probably after this. It's a bit harder on YouTube Live, I have to say, to look at my comments and stuff like that, because of the way I've got the camera set up. So what I'll do is, if you've got any comments, any questions, I always say if you want to hit us up on Instagram as well, you can. Please do. Yeah, I don't really want to speak too much more about the setup. I'm going to do a lot of other videos, including a YouTube video, catch up of a few things, and what I'm doing on the car. But yeah, loads of plans happening, and I can't wait. Yeah, keep an eye on Insta. What I'm going to do is I'm going to post up a picture of the dyno of the highest breathe pressure, so you can see the proof of that. Yeah, I don't think anyone will question that. It's awesome. I mean, I'm really happy with that. It's mad. You get the power. You end up kind of doing what you do with the car, and you think to yourself, what can you get? What are you going to get? And how you're going to react to what power you kind of end up getting. And the way I look at it, it kind of sunk in about 3 days after. No, maybe later that evening when I got the results. You kind of sit and you take it in. You kind of think, yeah, that kind of come to be expected. I knew that I'd make that power. And then you think to yourself, not necessarily. Things have got to go right. And the car is absolutely singing and humming, and it runs just beautiful. It feels so good. Testament to Market Extreme engines, and Romain at Race Cow, and anyone Full Throttle who have done a lot of stuff on this car as well. Lots of good people that have got involved in this project. And yeah, just the right people always help, get a really good result in the end. Yeah, I suppose the only other thing I would say is, obviously, the power that I was talking about that the car made from low down and up top is actually testament, without a shadow of a doubt, to the motor build, and that is Mark's Extreme Engines, who's involved in Team Extreme. He runs an 8.5, or I think an 8.2 second R32 GTR, which is the quickest in the UK, and he also runs Gary Gooden's 7.5 second Supra that does like 180 mile/hour traps, and they're going for 6 seconds now with a crazy build as well. Full drag car, to be fair, very different to this, but good friends with them. And Market, I must mention Mark's Extreme Engines, because what he's done to this car, that guy's a genius. Ex-Cosworth race employee, and a lot of other amazing things to his kind of name, and he's now kind of set up shop on his own, and he's doing a lot of RB builds and a lot of 2J builds, and whatever the hell he done to that, I am aware of what he's done, especially to the head, pocket ports and all kinds of special race ports and stuff like that on both sides, and just in the head. It just shows you sometimes, if you know what you're doing, the results can be incredible, from understanding how the compression is going to be for this type of motor, for what we're using it for, and just the head work. Like I say, I told Mark this, and he didn't even necessarily know that, because he's more a Skyline man in the way he looks at media. I obviously look so much into, you know, what's done with Supras and 2Js. So yeah, like I say, the results that he got, I told him he should be like really happy. Obviously I'm really happy because I'm the person, you know, in the car, but I just said to him, thank you so much, basically, because I said, just so you know, Mark, our car is making more power low down when it starts to spawn, when it starts to make power, than anything like by 500 RPM, and it's carrying it on even further as well. So whatever the hell he's done, whatever magic he's worked on that motor, yeah, massive hats off to him. And yeah, I'm so pleased. So far, so we've got a really amazing base on this. I am going to get you a kind of a little car review drive of this, because I haven't really driven it in anger like at all on boost, because we're needing to sort those bits really. So in the coming weeks, I will be definitely doing a drive video of it and showing you boost. There will be some dyno videos as well, rest assured. And obviously Race Wars is about 5 weeks away. I've got Time Attack with the FK8, and I'm going to be doing a full season of Time Attack. I'm going to be trying to win Clubman Championship, the full race season championship, and there's lots of other things and car reviews coming up, including the new NSX car review. I think is going to be next week, so look forward to that. It's been a monster of an edit, and it's very hard to edit, but yeah, it's going to be good. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, like, share, comment, subscribe. See you again in the next one. Bye for now.